Welcome to the Love and Sex Today show with Dr. Doug Weiss. Doug has been healing hearts and relationships for decades. He's helped thousands of people release the shame and the guilt, restoring hope, helping people get free from addictions to enjoy a better sex and love life. Here he is, your host, Dr. Doug Weiss.
Welcome to Love and Sex Today. I am Dr. Doug Weiss, and welcome to our 45th conversation. Today's topic is emotionally faithful. Are you being emotionally faithful in your marriage or in your long-term relationship? Emotional faithfulness has become a totally new topic because of social media. It's always been there. There's always been the potential to give your heart or share your feelings with a coworker, but now you can share them with a person in another country. Now you can share them with perfect strangers that just live right down the street with just a couple clicks of the button. Very important topic today that we're going to cover. I want you to go to loveandsextoday.com. Subscribe there. Please join our big family. It is growing so rapidly. And review us on iTunes. One of you who reviews us on iTunes will be selected for a conversation with myself. We will actually hang out on the phone together and discuss whatever is on your heart. And hopefully that'll be just a very positive thing. That's been amazing. And so I really sign up, go to iTunes, do that so we can get you possibly that phone conversation. Also, there's a free chapter on the webpage for you this time. And also there's a button that's just for you to have a voice where you can ask me a question. Tell me a little bit about yourself, or suggest a topic. Say, Dr. Doug, I really want to hear about this, or what are your thoughts on this? We want to get you on the show as soon as possible, and that is as soon as you click that button. Thank you for doing that. Now, I want to talk about emotional faithfulness, and this comes out of the book, The Miracle of Marriage. And in there, I talk about being emotionally faithful. And it really resonates with a lot of people, especially today with the cell phone technology. Who are you texting? Why are you texting? Who are you emailing? Where's this coming from? Why is this person calling you at 9 o'clock at night? These are questions that go on all the time now in marriages that didn't go on before. And they go on all over the world. Emotional faithfulness has now become a global issue because we are globally connected. I can't tell you how many men I have worked with over the last almost 30 years who've had emotional affairs that led to other types of affairs that led to other consequences or hard times in their long-term relationship or marriage. So what does it mean to be emotionally faithful? And we're pretty clear what it means to be physically unfaithful. The kissing, the fondling, the groping, or having sex acts with a person, those lines are pretty clear. And the lines of emotional unfaithfulness are really less clear. So when are we crossing that line to being emotionally unfaithful? Now, that's going to be slightly different per person, but I want to give you some thoughts about this. And I want you to think about it for yourself, how you're protecting your own marriage, your own relationship. And of course, you're going to think about it as far as it relates to friends you know, maybe your spouse, and what they're up to. You know, if they're on the internet for 2 or 3 hours at a time talking to people all over the country, or they're gaming and they're talking to people who they're gaming with, you know, those kind of things are like new. And it feels emotionally unfaithful when someone's spending the time that they do with other people, sharing their thoughts and their feelings with maybe others more regularly than they do with you. And you feel like you're left out, like you're kind of the last thing on their list to do or last person they want to be with. And that can definitely move us into a topic of emotional unfaithfulness. Now, I'm a psychologist, and I did write a book called Emotional Fitness. Emotions are real. They're real in your life. They are very real in your marriage and in your long-term relationships. As a matter of fact, they are so real and they are so very powerful. You may be able to think differently about something or someone, but when you feel about someone or something, that feeling is very real to you. And it can definitely motivate you in wanting more connection and more connection. Positive reinforcement. I mean, all of us remember Pavlov's dog, ring the bell, feed a dog. Well, that's true emotionally as well. If I go to a place and I get a positive emotion, I'm going to want to go back to that place. There are whole retail chains set up on that one principle alone. When a customer walks in, tell them it's a nice tie. Say something nice about their clothes. Engage them in a smile. Give them energy when you walk in the store. I mean, they are trying to actually engage you in an emotional response. And when they do, they know you're going to come back because you like coming back here, because you want to be talked about. You want to be asked questions. You want to be praised. Okay. Now, other people know that we like this stuff as well. And they work with us. And they are at the coffee shop. And they're at the gym. And they're at other places. And some of them are lonely. And they know how to engage another person in an emotional kind of context. So when you share your feelings, you are really sharing your heart. You're sharing yourself with another person. And as you do this, you move closer to them emotionally. Now, you can gauge who you're really close to emotionally. I mean, if something really good happens to you, who's the first 2 or 3 people you want to text or call or email? Those are probably your most emotionally closest friends. And if your spouse isn't in that top 1, 2, or 3 position, you might be in a situation where you have given your emotions to others outside of your marriage in a stronger reinforcing way than you have to your spouse. And if you don't know how to share your feelings with your spouse, I would encourage you to get any of my marriage books. Intimacy, 100-Day Guide to Lasting Relationships, a great one. And learn how to do emotions with your spouse. Very important. You want to be able to do that. So when can we start to be emotionally unfaithful? What's some of the things that can move us down this road? I'm not going to say where the line is because I know, some people have very strong marriages and they might be able to talk with others in a safe way, but they're really strongly emotionally committed to their spouse. Other people have weak marriages and even kind of benign conversations emotionally can move them into a emotionally unfaithful place. So the line is yours to find out. I just want to give you some indicators that you might be going down the wrong path. And if you have enough of these indicators, you might be on the wrong path. If you have a lot of them, you're on the wrong path. You might be emotionally unfaithful, or your spouse might be emotionally unfaithful. So maybe write these down. Definitely share these with your friends because this is a great conversation. You want to start a conversation. Everyone has an opinion. This one's like politics. Everyone has an opinion where this line is. And oftentimes it's only a fraction of an inch away from where they are currently because they would never do this. So let's walk through some of these key things. What I find are some of the key things to look for is if someone's being emotionally unfaithful, is they're sharing negative feelings about their spouse with the opposite sex. Women know if a man is talking negative about their wife to them, they're already opening their heart. And they're basically saying, hey, I'm available. And men know the same thing. If a woman will tell a man, hey, my husband doesn't do this, we're not having sex, he doesn't spend time to me, he doesn't touch me, he knows that woman is inviting him into an emotional relationship and one of trust, because that's not something you just tell anybody. Negative feelings about your spouse. I tell people all the time, if you have negative feelings about your spouse, which you will occasionally, talk to God, talk to your pastor, priest, or rabbi of the same gender, or talk to a man if you're a man, talk to a woman if you're a woman, because then you're not going to get the emotional kickback from the opposite sex, and you might actually get confronted, but your side of the problem, which would be even better if you did that. If you have a big signal that you're being vulnerable to them, you're sharing the deeper stuff with them. Maybe you're sharing your dreams with them. That would be a signal that, hey, this is getting emotional here. Sharing your dreams with the opposite sex, that is really something you want to be careful about because you're almost inviting them into feedback to that, support for your heart. When you're asking the opposite sex to support your heart in a dream, you need to be really, really careful. Now, I'm not talking about coworkers on a team, reaching a marketing goal or a sales goal. I'm talking about your dream. Maybe where you want to live, how you want to live, a hobby you want to pursue. You need to be really careful about that. Also, in the same light, sharing your goals, personal goals. Now, in the context of co-working, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds this January. Okay. But you know what? I have a goal of collecting such and such, or I have a goal of this and that. And, one of the things on my bucket list is this. What do you think about that? Being very careful about sharing your goals because that is part of who you are. Your goals are unique to you. And again, in a social context where there's 4 or 5 people and you're just kind of chatting about different things, that's one thing. I'm talking about this one-on-one conversation, where you're saying, hey, my goal is maybe I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle or I want to lose 10 pounds of fat. Be careful. Asking for help of the opposite sex. Really important, especially if you're a woman. If you're kind of putting on the persona of I need to be rescued by you, being rescued is definitely a trigger for a lot of guys to be the hero in your life, and it can definitely move in an emotional affair. And a lot of women use that. Men as well will use that to solicit a woman's support because they know if a woman is giving to him in a kind way, that moves her emotionally towards him. Asking for support, same kind of thing. Personal emails. If you're starting to send personal emails, hey, what's going on with you today? Hey, what happened with such and such? Now, again, I'm not talking about you've done this once or twice with someone over a course of years, but you got a regular flow of, hey, how's it going? What's happening with you? Those kind of emails can move you in an emotional direction because you look forward to it. If you start seeing an email address that you get excited about from the opposite sex, you're moving in the emotional direction. This goes with texting as well, regularly texting someone. Now, again, if you have some reason to do it, it's a professional purpose, but they start getting personal. Watch that, especially from the opposite sex. It says time and it says you have value. Private conversations, things you can't talk to your spouse about. That is a real clue that you're starting to move emotionally into a place where you could start becoming unfaithful. Sharing meals alone together without your spouse knowing is definitely a red flag. You are in an emotional situation because now you're wanting time, you're wanting to eat together, you're wanting that special attention that really you should be giving to your spouse or long-term relationship. And if it's a secret, I can tell you if this relationship is becoming a secret, you're in an emotional affair or at least moving towards one. Secrets are very much an indication about this. Having pet names for each other, having special inside jokes, having code words. These are all indications that you have shared yourself and your emotions to a degree that can be dangerous with the opposite sex. And again, you might feel like you're being perfectly harmless in your relationship, but they might be getting needs met. And you might be pulling them along in a way that can very much hurt them and be disappointing when they find out that you're not really interested. Talking about doing something together. Hey, let's get together and do that sometime. You're moving in an emotional direction if it's not professional and with a group of people. If you're saying, hey, let's go for a walk sometime. Let's go get a coffee sometime. Let's go get a drink sometime. These are things, hey, let's be alone. I want time with you. Time is always love. You start getting energized by communication with them, no matter what format, email, texting, calls. You look forward to their communication, even if it's just very small and benign. You are starting to be emotionally connected to this person. You get down when you can't communicate or they don't respond in a timely manner. Usually they respond to you within minutes or within an hour or two, and it's been a whole day went by. And you're like, oh my gosh, is something wrong? Did I say something? And you get really concerned about the loss of this communication. Having secret social media or email accounts is definitely an indication you are in the wrong direction, that emotional unfaithfulness is starting to move. And unfaithfulness it's not like a distinct moment in time. It's usually this graduation of temperature, and at some point you feel like you've given your heart to this person in a way that maybe you don't give your heart to your spouse for whatever reason. If this person's the first person you call when something bad or something good happens, you're probably in an emotional, unfaithful place. When you have vulnerable emotions, you're really struggling with something, and they're the person you're reaching out to instead of your spouse first, emotional unfaithfulness might be moving into your life. You want to have clear opposite sex communication boundaries. Establish those as far as your emails, your texts, your calls, stuff like that. And definitely set yourself up to talk to the same gender when you're struggling or you need support or you have goals. Those would be great things. And also make sure all your social media is mutual. If you have a social media account, and I've got several, you can join me on LinkedIn, you can join me on Facebook and Twitter and all those things. But, there's about 3 ladies who look at everything that come in my office and they have access to everything. So there's no secrets. I don't have secret social media. Don't want it. It's time consuming. These are just some thoughts on emotional unfaithfulness. You need to think about this. This is a time when you start sharing your emotions outside your marriage, primarily are in a priority way. The other people get you first and your spouse gets you second or third. When something good happens to me, I love calling Lisa and celebrating that. She's pretty good about cheerleading me on something, and she's also as good about hearing me. We have a good, intimate relationship, and I love protecting that. I have to protect it. There are people who might misconstrue it if I'm spending time with them. I don't want to do that. So ask yourself, are you moving in an emotional, unfaithful direction? Do you need to put boundaries in places with some people that are getting too close? It feels a little exciting, okay? Be careful about this stuff. I have seen so many people get into sexual relationships, first by having an emotional affair, and sometimes it goes on for years before they cross the line when there's a vulnerable place and time where they're coworkers and they get to go to a conference together. It's the first time after about a year of grooming each other, they actually have access to a hotel and nobody else around. So you want to be really, really careful. I want you to go to loveandsextoday.com, subscribe there, review us on iTunes. This is a great topic to let other people know. Hey, this everyone needs to hear. Okay? And when you do that, people actually read those, and it may change their life. So please do that. One of you will be selected for a private conversation with myself who reviews us on iTunes. That button on the webpage, Love and Sex Today, that has Ask a Question, please tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us ideas for topics. We want to put you on the show. We would love to do that. There's also a free chapter there on the webpage. I always want you to have great love and great sex today.
That's it for our episode of Love and Sex Today with Dr. Doug Weiss. Head on over to loveandsextoday.com and be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes. When you do, and you post a review on iTunes, some lucky listener is going to win every single month a private confidential coaching call with Dr. Doug Weiss. Also, feel free to ask any question you like. You can push a button, speak your question, and Dr. Doug will answer your question in a future episode. So be sure to subscribe to the show. Doug's got some great gifts for you, and we will look forward to seeing you next time.